Have you ever had one of those days where everything just feels heavy? You're not even out of bed yet, and already your mind is racing. You think about that one awkward conversation, the inbox full of expectations, the uncertainty hanging over the week. You try to push through, like always, but inside, you feel drained, not tired, not sleepy, just emotionally exhausted. It's like the world keeps throwing punches, and you're out here trying to smile through the bruises. But deep down, a part of you knows there has to be a better way. What if emotional strength wasn't about fighting harder? What if it wasn't about bottling everything up or pretending nothing gets to you? You see, we've been told that strong people don't cry. That strength means being stoic in the face of pain, as if feelings were weaknesses. But that's not what Stoicism teaches. True Stoic wisdom says, strength isn't about shutting down your emotions, it's about mastering them. It's about learning how to navigate the storm, not avoid it. It's about responding with intention, not reacting in chaos. And most importantly, emotional strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, habit by habit, day by day. Now imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning and instead of being swept away by stress, you pause, you breathe, you take 1 minute to ask, what do I actually control today? That single shift sets the tone for your entire day. You respond calmly to challenges. You pause before reacting. You reflect on your choices at night without judgment, just awareness. You're not perfect, but you're in control, not of the world, but of yourself. That is emotional strength. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're diving into 10 powerful habits, each one inspired by the timeless teachings of Stoic philosophy. These aren't just ancient ideas locked in dusty old books. They're practical tools, mental habits, daily practices that you can apply right now to feel more grounded, more clear-headed, and more resilient, no matter what life throws at you. And the best part? You don't have to change your entire life overnight. You just need to start one habit at a time. The Stoics believed that while we can't control the world outside us, we can control how we respond to it. And through that response, we shape our character, we shape our peace, and ultimately, we shape our strength. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed, if you've ever wondered how some people stay calm under pressure while others fall apart, if you're ready to build that kind of unshakable presence for yourself, then this video is for you. Let's walk through 10 daily habits that will help you develop real emotional strength, steady, quiet, powerful, and all from within. Habit 1. Start your day by identifying what's within your control. Let's be honest, most mornings don't feel like a clean slate. You wake up, grab your phone, and boom, notifications, reminders, emails, the news, texts from people who want something from you. Before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already racing. What should I do first? What if that meeting goes badly? What if I can't get everything done today? It's easy to fall into that mental storm, reacting to everything as if the weight of the world is sitting on your shoulders. But here's a truth the Stoics knew well: you don't have to carry everything. And more importantly, you can't. That's why the very first step in building emotional strength begins before your first sip of coffee. Ask yourself what's actually within your control today. It sounds simple, and it is. But don't mistake simple for small. This habit can change everything. The Stoic circle of control. The Stoics believed that life could be divided into two clear circles. One circle holds what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your choices, your effort. The other holds everything you can't, other people's opinions, the weather, traffic, random setbacks, even your own past. What drains us emotionally isn't just the chaos around us. It's trying to control what was never ours to control in the first place. Think about that for a second. How often do we stress over how someone else might respond? Or waste hours obsessing over a future outcome that hasn't even happened? It's like trying to steer a ship in the middle of a storm, without touching the wheel. The Stoics taught, if it's outside your control, let it go. If it's inside your control, own it. That's how you conserve emotional energy and channel it where it counts. A practical morning shift. Let's bring it down to earth. You've got a packed schedule, back-to-back meetings, a deadline, a personal situation hanging in the background. It's tempting to start the day with anxiety. But instead of spiraling, try this. Pause, sit up, take a breath, then mentally list out the things you can control today. Your preparation for the presentation? The way you respond to challenges? Your tone in that conversation you're dreading? Your mindset? Always. Now think about what you can't control. Whether someone likes your idea. If traffic will make you late. If someone sends a passive-aggressive email? Definitely. Let those go. Suddenly, your day feels less overwhelming. Not because it got easier, but because your focus got sharper. You're not trying to fight the wind anymore, you're adjusting your sails. Repeat this daily. The beauty of this habit isn't just that it helps in one moment. It reshapes your thinking over time. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you'll start seeing every situation through this lens. Is this within my control? No? Then I won't let it own me. Yes? Then I'll give it everything I've got. And that, right there, is how emotional strength is built, not by overpowering the world, but by mastering your focus. This isn't about being passive. It's about being wise with your energy. Because when you know what to hold onto and what to release, you become calm, clear, and grounded. You're not a leaf blown around by the wind. You're the one steering the ship. The mindset that changes everything. There's something incredibly freeing about waking up and realizing you don't have to control everything. You just have to control you. That's your thoughts, your reactions, your intentions. And when you start each day with that awareness, you become less reactive, more intentional, and way more powerful. So tomorrow, don't just dive into the noise. Pause. Ask yourself, what do I truly control today? And focus only on that. You'll be amazed how quickly the stress fades, and how much clarity comes rushing in. Now that you've started your day with the right mindset, it's time to take it a step further. Because even when we know what's within our control, emotions can still hit us hard, fast, loud, and unexpected. So up next, let's talk about the second habit that will help you handle those emotional surges with wisdom and calm. Habit 2. Practice the inner pause. Choose your response before reacting. Habit 2. Practice the inner pause. Choose your response before reacting. Have you ever said something in anger and instantly regretted it? Maybe it was a sharp comment. Maybe it was a look. Or maybe it was silence, one that said more than words ever could. We've all been there. That moment when your emotions grab the wheel and drive straight into a response you wish you could take back. The heart races, the heat rises, and before your brain has a chance to weigh in, your mouth has already spoken. That's the power of unfiltered reaction. And that's exactly why the second habit on this journey toward emotional strength is so vital. It's called the inner pause, a brief, intentional moment between feeling and responding. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Simple? Yes. Easy? Not at first. But life-changing? Absolutely. Let's break it down. We live in a reactive world. Social media trains us to respond instantly. Work emails demand replies now. Even everyday conversations feel like rapid-fire exchanges. But emotional maturity isn't built in speed. It's built in space, in the gap between what triggers us and what we choose to do next. And that space? That's the inner pause. So what does it look like? Let's say you're in a meeting. Someone challenges your idea in front of everyone. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Your jaw tighten, maybe even a flush in your face. Your instinct? Snap back, defend yourself, make them feel what you're feeling. But instead, you stop. You take a breath, maybe you count to 5. You remind yourself, I can respond to this calmly. I get to choose how this moment shapes me. That's the inner pause in action. You're not suppressing your emotion, you're acknowledging it, holding it in your hands, and deciding what to do with it. This is where true emotional strength is born, not in denying feelings, but in mastering your response to them. Here's the beauty of this habit. It doesn't take years of training. You can start practicing today. The next time you feel a wave of emotion, frustration, irritation, defensiveness, catch yourself, even if it's just for a moment. Name what you're feeling, breathe, step back mentally, or even physically if you need to. And then, ask, what response would reflect who I want to be? You'll be amazed how much power that small pause holds. This isn't just for big conflicts either. It applies to the little moments too. When your child spills something for the third time. When your partner forgets that thing you reminded them about. When someone cuts you off in traffic. Those are opportunities, not to react, but to grow. The inner pause becomes a tool you can carry with you anywhere. It's your shield against regret and your gateway to clarity. And over time, as you practice it again and again, something shifts. You stop being a prisoner of your feelings. You become the driver of your emotional life. This doesn't mean you never get angry, or sad, or disappointed. It means those feelings don't own you. You feel them, you respect them, but you don't let them dictate your behavior. You choose your words, you choose your tone, you choose your timing, and most importantly, you choose your power. Because reacting is easy, but responding? That takes strength. So how can you build this habit? Start small, one situation at a time. When you feel triggered, don't aim for perfection, just aim for a pause. Count to 5, take a breath, walk away for a minute if needed. Whatever gives you that brief space to turn instinct into intention. Eventually, that pause becomes second nature. And the best part? People will notice. They'll feel the difference. Your conversations will shift. Your confidence will grow. You'll become someone who responds with calm, even when the world is loud. That's emotional strength, and it doesn't happen overnight. But with each pause, with each moment you choose your response over reaction, you build it. Brick by brick. Now, once you've learned how to pause, the next step is just as important. Being honest with yourself. Because sometimes the hardest conversations aren't with others. They're the ones we've been avoiding with ourselves. So let's move into habit 3. Be honest with yourself. Own your truth without shame. Habit 3. Be honest with yourself. Own your truth without shame. There's a moment we all face at some point, quiet, uncomfortable, but deeply revealing. It's that moment when you look in the mirror. Not just to check your hair or your clothes, but to actually see yourself. And maybe, just maybe, you don't fully like what's staring back. Not because you're bad, not because you're broken, but because deep down, you know there are things you've been avoiding. Patterns you haven't confronted, truths you haven't admitted. It's easier to pretend, to stay busy, to blame other people, to say, that's just how I am. But avoidance doesn't build emotional strength. It builds walls. And the longer you hide from yourself, the heavier those walls become. That's why the third habit on this journey toward inner strength is perhaps the hardest and the most powerful. Be honest with yourself. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. In other words, before you try to grow, before you dress up your life with goals, labels, or success, take a hard, clear look at the foundation. Who are you, really? This isn't about judgment. It's not about shaming yourself for past mistakes or flaws. It's about seeing clearly, without distortion, without excuse, without fear. We all carry stories, some empowering, some painful, but the ones that hurt us most are the ones we tell ourselves in secret. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'll never be as confident as them. I had to be perfect to be worthy. These inner narratives don't come from nowhere. They're shaped by past wounds, failures, rejection, and often, our own unwillingness to face the truth gently. But here's what the Stoics knew. You can't improve what you won't acknowledge. Being honest with yourself is the beginning of transformation. That means admitting when you've been the one at fault. It means recognizing habits that sabotage you. It means sitting with uncomfortable emotions, jealousy, fear, insecurity, without pretending they don't exist. But it also means recognizing your strengths. Too often, self-honesty gets confused with self-criticism. But real honesty? It's balanced. It sees the full picture. It says, yes, I've made mistakes. And yes, I've overcome more than I give myself credit for. So how do you build this habit? You start by creating a space for quiet reflection, no distractions. No noise, just you and your thoughts. Ask yourself, where am I holding back? What patterns keep repeating in my life? What am I avoiding about myself, and why? These aren't easy questions, but they're essential. Maybe you've stayed in a job that drains you, but you're afraid to admit it. Maybe you keep sabotaging relationships because you haven't healed what happened years ago. Maybe you're chasing goals that don't even belong to you, but look good on the outside. Whatever it is, bringing it into the light gives you power. Not the power to erase the past, but the power to choose differently moving forward. And here's the key. Practice self-honesty without shame. You are not your mistakes. You are not your flaws. You are a work in progress. Just like every human being who has ever walked this earth. When you stop hiding, when you stop pretending, when you stop needing to be perfect, you create space. Space for growth. Space for real confidence. Space for freedom. Because the truth may sting, but it also heals. And as you get more comfortable telling yourself the truth, something shifts. You stop fearing failure, because you see it clearly. You stop comparing yourself, because you know what's real. And you stop chasing perfection, because you've accepted yourself as whole. Even in your imperfection, that's what emotional strength looks like. Not polished, not flawless, but real. So the next time you catch yourself deflecting blame, downplaying your worth, or hiding behind distraction, pause. Ask, what truth am I avoiding right now? And remind yourself, clarity isn't cruelty. It's compassion in disguise. Be honest, be kind, be brave. Now that we've laid the foundation with clarity, it's time to bring in the next piece, something the Stoics considered vital to self-awareness and growth. Let's move on to habit 4. Reflect on daily events. Carry a mirror for your life. Habit 4. Reflect on daily events. Carry a mirror for your life. Imagine this. Your day is finally winding down. The house is quiet. The noise has faded. You've finished work, maybe eaten dinner, maybe even scrolled your phone a bit too long. And now, the day is done. Most people at that point just drift off. They let the day slip away, no questions asked, no lessons learned, just one more blurred page in the book of life. But what if you didn't let it slip? What if, instead of moving on automatically, you stopped, just for a few minutes, to look back? Not with judgment, not with guilt, but with clarity, like holding up a mirror to your soul. That's the power of daily reflection. And it's one of the most underrated habits when it comes to building emotional strength. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, and one of the wisest, ended many of his days writing. Not to impress, not to publish, just to reflect. He'd ask himself what he did well, where he fell short, what thoughts shaped his actions, and how he could improve tomorrow. It was his mirror, and it became his teacher. Because here's the truth, if you're not looking back, you're not learning, and if you're not learning, you're not growing. Reflection isn't about overthinking or reliving regrets. It's about awareness. It's how you begin to notice patterns. It's how you take ownership of your choices, and start aligning them with the kind of person you truly want to be. Let's be honest, most of us go through our days on autopilot. Wake up, rush, react, respond, repeat. But life isn't just something to get through. It's something to learn from. And that learning happens when you pause and ask yourself, what did I do well today? What could I have done better? How did I respond under pressure? And what did that reveal about me? These aren't heavy questions, they're honest ones. And you don't need hours or a fancy journal. All it takes is 5 minutes of your time and a willingness to be real. Maybe today you handled stress better than usual. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you listened more closely in that conversation. Or maybe you cut someone off without meaning to. Maybe you stuck to your values, or maybe you let fear guide your decision. Whatever it was, it's not about labeling the day good or bad. It's about understanding your own behavior so you can adjust, realign, and improve. This habit helps you course correct before bad patterns become your norm. Think of it like checking the compass at the end of a long hike. Are you still headed in the right direction? Or did you drift? The good news is, if you reflect, you can drift and still find your way back. And over time, this reflection builds something deeper, integrity. Because when you examine your day with honesty, you start to live with intention. You stop just reacting, you start designing. Your choices get sharper, your values become clearer. You feel less like life is happening to you, and more like you're co-creating it. Even small adjustments, made consistently, can lead to massive transformation. So what does this look like in practice? You can grab a notebook, or just sit quietly with your thoughts before bed. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done differently? What will I carry into tomorrow? You'll be surprised how much clarity shows up when you take the time to pause. And don't forget, celebrate your wins. Reflection isn't only about fixing what's wrong. It's also about noticing what's right. When you acknowledge your progress, you fuel your confidence. When you identify your mistakes, you fuel your growth. Both are equally important. Both are essential to emotional strength. And just like Marcus Aurelius, the more often you do this, the better you understand yourself, not as you wish to be, but as you are. That kind of self-awareness? It's the bedrock of resilience. So tonight, before you scroll one more time or collapse into bed, try it. Just 5 minutes. Just one look in the mirror. Your future self will thank you. And once you've built this daily rhythm of reflection, you'll start to notice something else. You'll begin to appreciate more of what's already going well in your life. Because what you reflect on, you begin to value. And what you value, you begin to protect. Which brings us to habit 5, perhaps the most soul-nourishing habit of them all. Practice daily gratitude. Remember what you already have. Habit 5. Practice daily gratitude. Remember what you already have. There's a strange thing about modern life. We have more than any generation before us, more comfort, more convenience, more connection, and yet, somehow, we often feel like something is missing. We chase the next big thing. A new job, a bigger house, more recognition, more followers. We keep running, hoping that when we reach that next milestone, then we'll feel satisfied. Then we'll finally breathe easy. But the finish line keeps moving. The goalposts shift. And what once felt like enough quickly becomes not quite. This is what the Stoics warned us about, a life spent constantly chasing more, without stopping to notice what's already in our hands. That's why the 5th habit of emotional strength is so vital. Practice gratitude every single day. Gratitude isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring pain. It's about training your mind to see clearly. Because when you practice gratitude, you shift your focus from what's lacking to what's already present. You begin to realize that joy doesn't come from having more, it comes from noticing more. Think about this. When was the last time you paused and appreciated the small things? Not the once-in-a-lifetime vacations or big wins, but the quiet moments. The warm cup of coffee. The laugh with a friend. The fact that your body carried you through the day. The roof over your head. The breath in your lungs. Those are gifts. But without gratitude, we walk past them as if they were nothing. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said that true wealth isn't measured by how much you have, but by how little you need. Gratitude teaches us that we already have so much more than we think. And here's the magic. When you start noticing what's good, You stop being ruled by what's missing. You stop waking up with a sense of lack. And you start the day with a sense of peace. This doesn't mean you give up on goals or stop improving your life. It just means you stop postponing your happiness. You stop saying, "I'll be grateful when," and start saying, "I'm grateful now." So how do you build this habit? It's simple. Every morning, take 1 minute to list 3 things you're grateful for. Write them down. Say them out loud. Think them to yourself as you make your coffee. It doesn't matter how you do it. What matters is that you mean it. Some days, it might be something big, like a new opportunity or someone who helped you. Other days, it might be something small, like a good night's sleep or sunshine on your face. Over time, this simple habit begins to rewire your mindset. You'll find that even in hard seasons, there's always something to be thankful for. And when life feels overwhelming, that thread of gratitude becomes your anchor. It reminds you that while you may not have everything you want, you have more than enough to begin again, to face the day with strength, to keep going. Gratitude also softens your perspective. It helps you forgive quicker. It deepens your connections with others. It reminds you that you're not alone and that life, even in its imperfect form, is still beautiful. And the best part? Gratitude is contagious. When you live with it, you naturally spread it. You lift others up, not by preaching, but simply by being present, by appreciating life out loud. That energy is powerful, and it starts with something as small as 3 words. I am grateful. So tomorrow morning, before the world pulls you into a million directions, try it. Pause, breathe, reflect. What are you thankful for? Then let that feeling guide the rest of your day. And as you build this habit, as gratitude becomes part of your daily rhythm, you'll find that emotional strength isn't just about how you face adversity. It's also about how you appreciate what endures. Now that we've learned how to ground ourselves in what we already have, it's time to explore the next layer of resilience. Because sometimes, the hardest part of being strong is learning how to let go. Let's continue with habit 6. Learn the art of letting go. Accept loss as part of life. Habit 6. Learn the art of letting go. Accept loss as part of life. Loss. It's one of the few things in life that's guaranteed. We lose people. We lose jobs. We lose dreams we once held tightly. Sometimes, we even lose versions of ourselves, phases of life, identities, routines we've outgrown. And yet, as natural as loss is, we fight it, we cling, we resist, we hold on to what was, long after it's gone, hoping maybe, somehow, we can bring it back. But here's what the Stoics understood so deeply. Loss isn't the end, it's part of the flow. It's not punishment, it's part of the design. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change. And change is nature's delight." Think about that. The same nature that turns winter into spring also turns chapters in our lives. The same force that allows a tree to let go of its leaves is inviting you to let go, too. But letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending something didn't matter. It means you've decided to stop carrying the weight of what you can no longer control. Because here's the truth. Holding on to what's already gone doesn't keep it alive, it keeps you stuck. We often think we need to process loss through logic. But letting go isn't just a mental act, it's deeply emotional. It's crying when you need to. It's saying goodbye to something you never thought you'd have to. It's making peace with the fact that some things don't get tied up neatly. And it's trusting that even when something leaves, space is being made for something new to enter. When you release your grip, you're not giving up, you're opening up. You're choosing peace over resistance. You're choosing growth over stagnation. The Stoics saw this not as weakness, but as wisdom. They reminded themselves daily that nothing is truly ours forever. Not people, not possessions, not even our own health or youth. That sounds heavy, but it's also freeing. Because once you stop trying to hold on to what's outside your control, you begin to focus on what is within your power, your attitude, your actions, your ability to start again. Letting go is a skill. And like any skill, it can be practiced. Start by asking yourself, what am I still clinging to that no longer serves me? Maybe it's a relationship that's run its course. A version of success that no longer fits who you are. An old belief that says you're not enough. Whatever it is, try not to judge yourself for holding on. There's usually a reason we do: comfort, fear, familiarity. But also know this: you don't need to carry it forever. Begin small. Take a deep breath and say, this no longer defines me. Write it down, release it, let the feeling come, and then let it go. Some days, you might have to let go again and again. That's okay. Healing isn't linear, but the more you practice, the lighter you become. And here's something unexpected. Letting go doesn't only apply to pain. Sometimes we need to let go of success, too. We cling to old wins, old titles, old roles, and we let those define who we are, even when we've outgrown them. But real emotional strength is knowing when to evolve, when to make space for what's next. When you let go, you don't lose yourself, you meet yourself again. So the next time you feel resistance, ask yourself, is this helping me grow? Or is it holding me back? And if it's the latter, give yourself permission to release. Because when you let go of the past, you gain freedom in the present. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain space for healing, for discovery, for possibility. That's the quiet strength of Stoicism. Not in clinging to what you can't change, but in embracing what's changing you. And once you've learned the art of letting go, you'll find yourself standing on more solid emotional ground. You'll be ready to make better choices, not just for today, but for the long road ahead. Which brings us to habit 7. Because once you've made space, it's time to decide what truly matters. Let's move on to habit 7. Set clear priorities, know what truly matters. Habit 7. Set clear priorities, know what truly matters. Let's face it, we live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. From the moment we wake up, everything feels urgent. Messages, deadlines, notifications, requests from others. The loudest voices tend to grab our time first. And before we know it, the day is over, and we're left wondering, what did I actually do today that really mattered? It's not that we didn't work hard. It's that we were busy, but not intentional. Productive, but not purposeful. This is where emotional strength begins to stretch beyond awareness into action. Because if you want to live with resilience, clarity, and peace, you need to learn how to prioritize. That's the 7th habit. Set clear priorities and know what truly matters. The Stoics believed in simplicity, but not in the shallow sense. They believed that a clear life is a powerful life. That when you strip away the non-essentials, what remains is your truth, your values, your purpose, your direction. And it starts with one critical skill: saying no, not out of rebellion or rejection, but because every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something essential. Think about that. How often do we say yes to what's easy, familiar, or immediately rewarding, while pushing aside the deeper work that truly builds the life we want? We answer emails instead of creating. We scroll through feeds instead of calling someone we care about. We rush from one task to the next, urgent but unanchored. And slowly, we drift. But you don't have to live that way. Every day is a choice. Every hour, a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. So how do you begin? Start each morning by asking one powerful question. What are the 3 most important things I can do today that align with my values and goals? Not 10, not 50, just 3. It could be as simple as having a focused conversation with your partner, finishing that piece of work you've been putting off, spending 30 minutes on your physical or mental health. The key is clarity, not complexity. You're not trying to do everything. You're trying to do the right things. Because the truth is, you'll never have time for it all. But you will always have time for what matters, if you make it. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about staying true to one's purpose. Regardless of the noise, he reminded himself, and as that our lives are short. And what we fill them with matters. He didn't say to be perfect. He said to be intentional. Setting clear priorities isn't about being rigid. It's about being rooted. It's about knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. This kind of clarity protects you from burnout. It shields you from distractions. It grounds you in what's real. When you know what matters, you're less likely to be swayed by what doesn't. You're no longer reacting to life. You're designing it, one priority at a time. So tomorrow morning, before the flood of responsibilities hits you, take just 2 minutes. Ask yourself, what are the 3 things I will give my best attention to today? Write them down, honor them, and when something unexpected shows up, and it will, return to that list. Let it remind you, your time is precious. Your focus is power. Your values deserve a front row seat. This simple act of prioritizing builds emotional strength because it shifts you from scattered to steady, from overwhelmed to anchored. And the more you practice, the clearer your life becomes, not just on paper, but in your heart. Now that you've clarified what truly deserves your energy, there's one more shift that will make all the difference. Because even when we know our priorities, it's still easy to get emotionally swept away by everything around us. Habit 8. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself like a friend. We've all been there. You make a mistake, miss a deadline, say the wrong thing, drop the ball, and without missing a beat, the inner critic shows up. That voice in your head that says, "You should have known better. That was stupid. You always mess things up." It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It whispers just enough to make you shrink, second guess, and spiral. And the worst part? You listen, because you think you deserve it. But what if you don't? What if the way you speak to yourself in those hard moments matters just as much as how you show up when everything's going well? This is where the 8th habit of emotional strength comes in. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself like a friend. Let's flip the situation for a moment. Imagine your closest friend came to you, heart heavy, saying, "I failed. I messed up. I'm so disappointed in myself." Would you look at them and say, "Yeah, you should be. What were you thinking?" Of course not. You'd listen. You'd support them. You'd say something like, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. This doesn't define you. You're still growing." So why don't we do that for ourselves? Why do we hold ourselves to impossible standards? Expecting perfection, punishing every stumble like it's a character flaw? The Stoics believed in discipline and self-awareness. Yes, but they also understood the power of gentleness. Because without compassion, honesty becomes cruelty. And without forgiveness, growth becomes impossible. Here's the truth. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to fall short. You're going to let people down, even yourself. And that's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign you're trying. You're reaching, learning, becoming. But you can't become who you're meant to be by beating yourself into it. Self-compassion isn't soft. It's not about lowering standards or letting yourself off the hook. It's about acknowledging your humanity without shame. It's looking in the mirror after a hard day and saying, "That was rough, but I'm still here, and I'm still worthy of care." It's choosing to rest instead of pushing when you're already drained. It's forgiving yourself for not knowing what you couldn't have known until now. It's giving yourself the same patience you give everyone else. So how do you build this habit? Start by noticing your inner dialogue. When something goes wrong, what's your first instinct? Blame or understanding? Next time you stumble, pause and ask, if my best friend were in this exact situation, what would I say to them? Then, say that to yourself. Write it down. Speak it out loud if you need to. Create a new default response that's rooted not in punishment, but in perspective. Because the truth is, you don't need to be perfect to be deserving of kindness. You don't have to earn compassion by checking some imaginary list of accomplishments. You are allowed to be in progress. You are allowed to not have it all figured out. You are allowed to treat yourself with dignity. Even when you fall, this doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Because when you respond to failure with understanding, you recover faster. You bounce back stronger. You stay emotionally steady because you're not tearing yourself apart from the inside out. And in a world that constantly tells you to do more, be more, prove more, choosing to be gentle with yourself is an act of rebellion and resilience. So the next time you find yourself standing in the rubble of a misstep, don't reach for the hammer of self-criticism. Reach for grace. Breathe. Remind yourself, you're doing the best you can with what you know. And that's enough to take the next step forward. Because emotional strength isn't just about discipline. It's also about healing. And healing begins with compassion. Now that you've learned how to be a better friend to yourself, it's time to explore how to create emotional boundaries with the world around you. Because even with inner kindness, we still live in a noisy, chaotic world. So next, we'll look at habit 9. Practice mental detachment. Be present without getting overwhelmed. Habit 9. Practice mental detachment. Be present without getting overwhelmed. Let's talk about something we all face, but rarely name. You're trying to stay focused, grounded, calm, but everywhere you turn, there's noise. The news, social media, other people's opinions, work stress, family tension, unexpected curveballs. It feels like the world is constantly trying to pull you off center. And before you know it, your peace is gone, your energy is scattered, your mind is spinning, not because of what's happening inside you, but because of everything happening around you. This is why the 9th habit of emotional strength is so important. Practice mental detachment. Learn to be present, without getting pulled under. Now let's be clear. Detachment is not the same as indifference. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-identifying. It means you learn to observe without absorbing, to listen without personalizing, to engage without losing yourself. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus famously said, "You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond." That single sentence holds incredible power. Because here's the truth. Life will get loud. People will say things that hurt. Plans will fall apart. There will be injustice, uncertainty, and chaos that you didn't ask for. But what happens outside you doesn't have to control what happens within you. That's where mental detachment comes in. It's the ability to create emotional space between yourself and the world's noise. Think of it like standing behind a glass window, watching a storm outside. You can see it, acknowledge it, prepare for it, but you don't have to be swept away by it. This is especially useful when dealing with criticism, conflict, or pressure. Let's say someone makes a comment about you that feels unfair. Your instinct might be to react, defend yourself, lash out, shut down. But mental detachment offers a different path. You pause. You ask, is this about me? Or about them? You remind yourself, I don't control their words, but I do control how I respond. That's not weakness. That's strength. The kind that's rooted in clarity, not chaos. So how do you develop this kind of detachment? It starts with awareness. Throughout the day, notice what triggers you. What conversations leave you emotionally drained? What topics spike your anxiety? What distractions pull you away from your center? Then ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, choose your next step with intention. You don't have to engage in every argument. You don't have to chase every distraction. You don't have to carry every emotional weight that's thrown your way. Mental detachment isn't withdrawal, it's wisdom. It's knowing how to stay in the moment without being ruled by it. It also means protecting your peace. That might look like stepping away from negativity, setting boundaries with people who drain you, or simply choosing silence over reaction. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Over time, this habit builds a quiet kind of confidence. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop trying to fix everything and everyone. You stay steady, even when the world gets shaky. And people will notice. They'll feel your calm. They'll wonder how you stay so grounded when things get chaotic. And the answer won't be some secret tactic, it will be this. You've trained your mind to respond. not absorb, to observe, not overreact, to stay connected, but not consumed. That's emotional strength at its highest level. And it's something you can begin to build today. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the noise around you, pause, breathe, and remember, you don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. You don't have to lose yourself just to prove a point. You don't have to let outside storms shake your inner sky. Now that you've learned how to protect your mind, there's one final habit to complete the circle. Because once you know how to stay steady, you need a reason to keep moving forward. Let's talk about habit 10. Set a daily purpose. What's your why for today? Habit 10. Set a daily purpose. What's your why for today? Every morning when you wake up, life hands you something powerful. A blank page. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, whether it was a success or a mess. Today is new, and what you do with it is up to you. But here's the challenge. Most people don't write anything meaningful on that page. They just let the day happen. They roll out of bed, check their phone, respond to demands, put out fires, and try to survive until the next sunrise. There's no direction, no focus, no anchor. And without an anchor, even calm seas can pull you off course. That's why the 10th and final habit of emotional strength is this. Set a daily purpose. Know your why for today. This habit isn't about planning your whole life. It's not about creating a massive to-do list or chasing productivity for its own sake. It's about clarity. It's about waking up and asking, what will make today meaningful? What matters most to me right now? Because when you begin your day with a sense of purpose, everything shifts. You're not just reacting, you're choosing. You're not just busy, you're intentional. And that kind of focus isn't just productive. It's deeply grounding. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And purpose? It's the quality behind your actions. It's the thought that gives your day its shape. So what does this look like in real life? It can be something big. Today I will finish my project and deliver it with excellence. Today I will have that difficult but honest conversation. Or it can be something simple. Today I will take care of my body. Today I will learn one new thing. Today I will show kindness to someone who needs it. What matters isn't the scale of the goal, it's the meaning behind it. Because even a small purpose, when chosen with intention, can turn an ordinary day into something extraordinary. It gives your brain a direction. It gives your emotions a reason. It gives your spirit something to aim for. And the truth is, purpose doesn't have to be flashy to be powerful. Some of the strongest people walk through life quietly, guided not by noise, but by clarity. They know what they're here to do, at least for today, and they do it with care. This habit also gives you something else, momentum. When you wake up and set a daily why, you move through your day with a subtle kind of power. You're less likely to get distracted, less likely to waste energy, less likely to let other people's chaos become your own, because you're already anchored in something that matters. So how do you build this habit? Start every morning with just one sentence. Today, my purpose is, then fill in the blank. Write it down, say it out loud, repeat it when things feel noisy or unclear. And at the end of the day, reflect on it. Did you live in alignment with that purpose? What helped you stay on track? What pulled you away? This process of setting intention, living it, and reviewing it creates a loop of growth. And over time, your days begin to feel more connected, more whole, because you're not just existing, you're moving forward with direction. This daily act of purpose fuels resilience because it reminds you that you're in control, not of everything, but of something meaningful. And that's enough to keep going. So tomorrow morning, before the world pulls at your focus, ask yourself one simple question. Why does today matter? And let your answer shape every choice you make. Because in the end, emotional strength isn't just about what we endure, it's about how we live. Blank. Underscore. Blank. And now you have them. The 10 habits that build real emotional strength. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. They're not loud, they're not flashy, but they are powerful. From choosing your response, to being honest with yourself, to letting go, reflecting, setting priorities, and treating yourself with compassion. Each of these habits is a small daily step towards something unshakable. A life of clarity, a life of resilience, a life that's led from within. So here's the challenge. Don't try to master all 10 at once. Just pick one, practice it, live it, see how it changes you. Then come back, choose another. Day by day, thought by thought, habit by habit, you'll become emotionally stronger. And not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Thanks for being here. If this journey helped you, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe, so we can keep growing together. Until next time, stay grounded, stay strong, and stay true to what matters most.